Faculty of Department of Humanities and Sciences, Chaitanya Deputy University Engineering. Today I would like to speak on communication. Communication play a prominent role in our life, and today in my presentation I would like to explain the different steps of communication on the name of the process of communication. What is communication? Communication is nothing but sharing our views, feelings, excitements, sorrows, suffering, whatnot. Whatever we want to convey with others is nothing but communication. Communication helps people to interact with each other. Communication enables people to share their suffering and everything. And in communication, we use many words, sometimes sentences, sometimes we use gestures, symbols, sometimes we even use non-verbal communication. We never utter any word, but with the help of facial expressions and gestures, we communicate with others. Process of communication. The process of communication includes 5 different steps. Number 1, ideation. Number 2, encoding. Number 3, transmission. Number 4, decoding. And number 5, response. Let us switch on to the first step of the process of communication, nothing but ideation. What is ideation? In order to communicate with other people, first of all, the speaker or the sender or the communicator requires what to be communicated and how it to be communicated. What are the ideas to be communicated? It is very, very important. That comes under ideation. Ideation basically getting different ideas and thoughts to communicate with other people. It is nothing but the process of the mind or brain. We know very well that our mind gives us number of fruitful ideas to communicate with other people. Among the different flashes of ideas, we decide what are the ideas to be communicated with others, not every idea. So it comes under ideation part. Ideation is of 2 types. One is logical content, another one is emotional content. Logical content includes the factual information. Whatever the ideas that we get, among those set of ideas, we choose few ideas which are to be communicated. Purely arranged ideas that we can call them as logical communication. The second type is nothing but emotional content. Emotional content is sometimes we become excited, sometimes we become emotional. For example, we may get some information from others that one of our relatives is in serious condition, then we become emotional. Sometimes some of the communication irritates us, then we naturally will become excited. The second step is nothing but encoding. Encoding is purely the responsibility of the sender or the communicator or the speaker. It is nothing but the process of changing the information. As I mentioned earlier, in the process of ideation, we get number of ideas, and in the process of the second step, nothing but encoding, we arrange the ideas in a logical order, step by step. The purpose of communication purely depends on the encoding. It includes 3 different aspects. One is selecting the language, number 2 selecting the medium, number 3 selecting an appropriate communication form. Let us deal with the examples. Sometimes we speak casually, it is casual information, because while talking to friends, while talking to different people, it comes under casual communication. in which we never follow any rules and regulations, we never switch on to any formal expressions. Second example is formal interaction. Formal interaction, it is very essential for the speaker and the communicator to decide what kind of language to be used in our communication. For example, if it is a job interview, it is a formal situation in which the communicator must be really very particular in using the language or selecting the language. Sometimes we attend different meetings in which also we are very particular about using the language, nothing but the formal languages. In conferences, in group discussions, in debates, in seminars, in sometimes we write letters. While writing letters also, if it is a formal letter, we naturally switch on to the formal language. If it is informal, we just ignore the formal expressions. And even while writing emails also, we are very particular about choosing the language. Third step is transmission. After getting ideas, the second step is nothing but we have encoded. We have chosen few ideas that to be communicated with others. And the third step of the process of communication is transmission. Transmission is nothing but what kind of medium that we are supposed to choose. Because we share the information, we share the communication in two different forms. One is in spoken form, the other one is written communication. The spoken medium, it is a kind of channel for the speaker, and the speaker must be very careful because his communication must be free from noise and disturbance. If it is the written communication, the encoder must be very clear because the written form must be legible. People, when they go through with the written communication, they must understand what exactly being written by the communicator. If it is the written communication medium, it is very essential for the communicator or the sender what to be communicated. I think but clarity of idea is very important for the communicator or the sender. Then when to be communicated, sometimes it is very essential because the time is also very important when it to be communicated. For example, you want to communicate some information to some particular person. At midnight it is not possible. The sender may be ready, the encoder is ready with his communication, whereas the receiver is not ready to receive your communication. That's the reason it is essential for the communicator when it to be communicated, the proper time must be decided by the sender itself. And how to be communicated. How it to be communicated is also very important one. And to whom it should be communicated based on the receiver position, whether it is proper communication or informal communication, it is nothing but the sender has to decide for himself. What is decoding? The fourth step of the process of communication is decoding, and here decoding is purely the responsibility of the receiver, because as the encoder has already been encoded and properly transmitted to the receiver, now it is a duty of the receiver to decode the information. Whatever been encoded by the communicator, it is nothing but the decoder has to decode the information to understand the content or to understand the message or communication. Communication, here it is very important to know one important aspect, that whatever being encoded by the sender is nothing but the message, but not the meaning. Meaning it varies. It depends on the receptive levels of the receiver. One person may understand in a different way, another person may interpret in another way. So here it is very important. Message is communicated but not the meaning. So the successful communication is nothing but it is in the hands of the receiver. And decoding is very important responsibility for the decoder. What exactly been encoded by the sender, even the receiver must also decode the same information, otherwise it leads to misinterpretation or communication failure. Response is the last step of the process of communication, because it enables the sender whether his communication is really successful or not. Based on the feedback or based on the response, the sender can understand. Sender will be in a position to decide whether his communication properly being communicated, or whether his communication is really successful, whether his communication is 50% successful, partially communicated, or the receiver not able to understand, not able to make out any sense of the encoded message. It purely depends on the feedback and the response. So here, based on the response and feedback, the encoder will decide whether his encoded version is correct or not, or anything to be changed, or again, what are the other ways of encoding that he needs to include in his presentation or sending the information. Basically, it purely depends on the last steps of the process of communication, nothing but response. That's all for today, viewers, and in future videos we will communicate the other different aspects of communication. Thank you for today.